Hey guys, it's Tricia Carr. I have new exciting things going on with my Mystic Arts Academy. You can now subscribe to receive all of the live monthly content for about a third of the investment of a single class. Included are at least one downloadable guided meditation per month, 2 live events ranging from classes, channeled messages, group readings, intuitive development guidance, Q&A sessions, and tons of community. You'll also have access to a private Facebook community for fellowship and support, and this space is kept super sacred and high vibrational. Your subscription gives you access to the whole library of classes and live events, which are on a vast array of topics. All events are offered online by Zoom video call, and many are also offered live in person at my studio here in Los Angeles. Subscribing to the Mystic Arts Academy is also a way for you to support the Charmed Life podcast and engage on a deeper level. I'm offering the subscription at a super low rate of $22 a month. Joining now locks in this rate for as long as you're subscribed. Click on the description of this episode or go to my website, triciacarcharm.com, and click on Mystic Arts Academy. I look forward to connecting. Welcome to Charmed Life, a multimedia podcast discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I am your host, Tricia Carr. Welcome to this episode of Charmed Life. I think this is about number 168, and I am still doing my mini episodes between these long full-length episodes where I interview a guest expert. Right now, I am currently, as this is being published and broadcast, I'm doing a series on metaphysics of the Bible and having so much fun with it. So check that out on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tricia Carr. And also just to let you know that the 2020 Intuitive Intensive 12-week immersive program taught by myself and my wonderful luminous friend Crystal Ann Compton, who is an intuitive channel and spiritual teacher. We teach this program. This is our 3rd year in a row, and it is truly, according to the students who take it, a life-changing program. That is not a brag or an arrogant for myself or for Crystal. It really and truly is those who come and connect with it. Last episode, Crystal was on, if you want to go check that one out if you haven't yet, and we talk about how to have a practical magic in your life and how to live intuitively. So click through the link that is in the description. You can read all about it. Pretty much the whole curriculum is up there, and I hope to see you there. And with that, my very special guest today is Corin Grillo. She is the author of The Angel Experiment and founder of Alchemy Academy. She's a trained psychotherapist, angel channel, healer, and teacher. She's helped thousands of people all over the world go from angel curious to angel powered. Woo! I love it. I'm getting chills. Welcome to Charmed Life, Corin Grillo.
Well, thank you for being here. It's wonderful to be here and be amongst your good juju.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. Wow. I mean, you have this powerful energy to be able to, and I love that it's grounded, because obviously the topic of angels is high frequency, right? But the angelic connection or any connection with spirit is the intention would be for us to actually ground it, because this is the experience we're having right now. So I would really love to hear about, your journey and this amazing work that you're doing. I love angel alchemy. Yes, that's that grounding experience, alchemizing it into the physical. So let everyone know about, how did you get into this work and the work that you are doing right now?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say thank you for acknowledging the grounded approach.
Yes.
And I really love that you said that and that you're acknowledging that, because I know in the spiritual communities, there's sometimes not a lot of that. There's a lot of almost sometimes escapism when it comes to it. So I love that you're kind of anchoring down with me down on the ground. Here we go.
The name of this program is Charmed Life, charm meaning like magic, but life meaning this thing that we're doing, walking, making bodies. And you know what I mean? That is the fundamental, that is the primary experience of this dispensation of my soul energy. is this,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it can be. And I understand that because we have this life is not easy. This 3D matrix is challenging, and the work that we do to be able to create this life, trauma, all of the things, and we kind of want to be rescued or to escape. And it's one time I was channeling Archangel Metatron, and as Metatron comes through very directly sometimes, and he said, "You are your own rescue." So anyway, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, it's so true. Oh my gosh, I could talk about that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, seen a lot. I've seen a lot out there.
Yeah.
So that's so great. So yeah, I was not born with the angel spoon in my mouth. Uh,
The silver angel spoon.
the gilded angel spoon in my mouth didn't exist. Uh, so so um, so yeah, there's a lot of pain, a lot of
Mm,
suffering, a
yeah.
lot of BS that I had to really endure, go through, as many of us healer light worker types have had to go through
Yeah.
our ordeals, if you will. And if we're lucky to survive and we get through the other side, then good things can happen. So that's essentially what happened to me. So really, I suffered with because of the intense childhood that I had. I suffered a lot with depression.
Mm,
And back in those days, really my only prayer was that that day would be my last.
mm,
So I just remember faking, just white knuckling, faking it till I made it kind of thing. And
yeah.
got into a lot of crazy high risk behaviors
Mm,
when I was younger. But at a certain point, I started doing the recipe that they give you for life, and
mm,
get a husband,
mm,
and a kid, the
yeah.
house, a career. And so I managed to get all those things, but the older I was getting, the more I was towing and bringing in some darkness
Mm,
and suffering because I
mm,
hadn't really dealt with, what was going on. So that gives you a little synopsis of where things gone came from. And it really wasn't until my mid 30s that things started turning around for me.
mm,
And when they turned around, it was really like a lightning strike. They just turned around.
mm.
And I witnessed a miracle that
Wow.
that changed it. Just changed the whole game, changed the whole world that I was living on all of a sudden. And it was such a weird time for it, because, or maybe it was the best time for it, because I was going through an extremely dark period. And I think I was like drinking about a fifth of tequila every 2 days. I
Oh,
was popping all kinds of like medications, like
mm,
antidepressants and ADHD medication. It just burning the candle at both ends. And just the irony, because I was a psychotherapist at the time,
mm-hmm.
um, just to kind of keep me afloat. So yeah, it came at a time where I really needed it, but it was not my most elevated moment.
Mm. Wow. That's yes, that's the story that a lot of healers, light workers, those, I was given once, I actually think I have a YouTube video about it, that seeming phenomenon that people who are light workers or healers or intuitives, people who do this work, that we do actually we come in to dark family experiences, dark childhoods or something like that. And the at least picture that I was given that one time was like, that's intentional. Obviously, it's intentional because as the pre-birth experience soul perspective, we see the picture. Those people weren't perfect. It wasn't like, oh, it's a surprise. It wasn't until I was 1 year old that everything started to go bad, and they were, church elders before that or whatever.
Right.
Picture perfect. But, we go in because that is expansion. We go in with the intention and being able to alchemize, transmute, and have that experience. It cleanses actually the dark family line when we make it through. And for me, it was also like in my late 30s that my kind of metaphysical opening started to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's so perfect. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, you got to be stretched and pulled and a
Yeah.
little uncomfortable in order to make something happen. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't survive. A lot of light
Mm-hmm.
workers don't survive. Maybe
Yeah.
they do end their lives, or
Mm-hmm.
the need for escapism is so great that they made a mistake there,
Mm-hmm.
an accidental whoops. And so you and I and whoever else has, or maybe someone's currently suffering. It's so important to hang in there. And I can't even stress how I didn't know that I had anything to offer anyone. And I just felt so low and such an incredibly low self-esteem. And I just felt like a monster most of my life. And I just feel like for anybody who's really suffering out there, sometimes the darker you can go, the brighter you can go. And it's a really interesting process, but I wouldn't have been able to move through this without the essentially divine intervention and working with the angels.
Do you share what that miracle was? The story about that miracle? If it's private, that's fine. I just wanted
No, it's in the book.
Oh,
yeah, no,
okay.
I write about it in
And the book, by the way, we haven't mentioned the angel experiment, or I think I did and mention it. So we'll have Corin's link for her website is in the description, and definitely check out the angel experiment. But yeah, if you would like to share it, or if you want to save it for them to read it, whatever you.
Yeah, no, I mean, we might as well talk about it now because whoever's listening, I feel like when they're listening to these stories, it helps open up the pipeline and the channel between them and the angels who are, yes, standing right there right now, waiting for you to pay attention, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I was going to a client's house. I used to rescue gang members off the streets in Los Angeles and do psychotherapy for them and their families. And I essentially, I already told you it was miserable. A friend of mine bought me an angel healing for my birthday. She didn't know what I was going through. Back then, I didn't really share my crap with, about what was going on. So she didn't know what I was going through. So she coincidentally, quote unquote, bought me an angel healing. And I went to this angel healing, and it was really, right away, the lady started talking about all the things I did not want to talk about. So she knew a little too much. And I was like, I did not come here for this. Right. Getting all sassy, but I was intrigued because it was so beautiful. What the things she was saying, even though she was dropping down some truth, a little tough love here and there. But really it was when she started doing the healing, the energy work and the healing work, that I could start feeling something, feeling the energy moving, feeling brightness, feeling like there was definitely more than one person in the room with me. And when I left that table and left that session, I felt like a different woman. And I didn't quite know what to wrap my brain around with it. Like, I've always been interested in spiritual things, but I always thought of angels as like, they're like the biblical kind of angels. Like,
exactly. The word angel is associated with religion so much. I know, but
yeah, but it's not that.
It's not that. And we only have so many words. So, like we can come up, we say light beings, but then people are like, what is that? So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So my perception, obviously they didn't come to me when I was like, because I was going to church and, I was doing everything the opposite of what a pious person could do.
Well, and when I was going to church, I was in evangelical Christianity. Angels were not a part of that. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not a part of like the Protestant evangelical approach, typically speaking. Maybe some other, like Catholicism, I think they kind of acknowledge angels or have that a part of the practice.
They do. I mean, Archangel Michael, like, they love them. They're some saints. So they're getting warmer, right? Getting warmer, but like intuitive work still maybe a little evil, right?
I have a friend who is an intuitive, and I have a few friends who are like both intuitive and mediums and everything, and then also still like their old religion. You know what I mean? Like they like to go to church and they still like to use it as a tool. Yeah. And it's really cool. But then they kind of, they know that most people in that community of their church are afraid of what they do. So they have to kind of usually live a little bit of a double life. But one person, one person whose Catholic friend she shared with said, oh, well, in the Catholic Church, there's something called charisms, which is basically the gifts of the Spirit. And, so it actually is there.
Good. Yeah, I love me some Catholicism. Really, it's like the closest. And I grew up a little Catholic, a little Catholic light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a lot of my students or the people who've trained with me in intuitive healing and doing angel work that are walking that tightrope because they still love them some religion, love them some Jesus, but they're getting activated.
Right.
You know, they're waking up and it's like, well, how do I rectify? Am I evil? Is this work evil? And so it's always been a fascinating conversation when it comes to that. So there I was, right? And in one of the least pious moments of my life. And as I was leaving the session, the woman said, talk to the angels as if they're real.
Oh,
And
cool.
I was like, at that point, I was like, heck yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Cause that was like amazing what just happened to me. And so that's what I started doing. And Tricia, all of this craziness started happening right away. It was like the angel synchronicities. So I'm like, okay, angels, show me you're real. And I'm driving on the road, and then this like laundry truck, angels, laundry service drives right by, and so all these angels everywhere, all of a sudden, right? And they're communicating. Like I could feel this presence with me, and I didn't really know how to describe it at the time, but I felt lighter and brighter already. Like I felt like the transformation was kind of happening. So it was about doing 3 days of this. And that's when I was on my way to a client's house. And I was driving through the streets, of Pacoima, which is like the hood, down Latino in one of the Latino communities down there. And as I was driving, a bird dropped down from the sky about pigeon size and dropped right in front of my car. And so I hit the brakes, and no one was around. So I kind of drive around the bird, and I look at it, and it's this bird with this mangled wing, this dropped like straight from the sky. It was so weird. And the other wing was okay. It was trying to kind of scoot around and get up. But so my heart, I felt like it was so like not exactly the vibe I was rocking the last few days of like angel bliss, right? Talking to angels, angel synchronicities, and all of a sudden here's this bird carnage on the ground. And what am I supposed to do with that? So I'm on my way to my client's house. I'm about to be late. I don't know. I'm not a bird, professional. I don't know how to rescue birds. So I was in the hood, so I didn't want to get out of the car, and I didn't know what to do. Right. So what I did was what I'd been doing the last few days, which is talking to the angels. So I essentially prayed for the bird, and I said, angels, just help this bird, take it out of its suffering. And I just gave it some good juju, and I kept, walking, driving around it slowly so I could keep sending it some good stuff. And I look in the rearview mirror, and the bird started doing a little shimmy on the ground. And so I just stopped the car again because it looked weird. So I just kept watching the bird. And as I watched, a small bird jumped and flew out of the body of that bird. And then a second bird flew out of the body of that bird. And these were smaller birds, maybe about 3 inches tall versus the big one. And then a third bird that was a little bit smaller, a little darker, a little wobblier, jumped up from the body of that bird and flew away. And I was like, okay, I'm in the middle of the hood in broad daylight. This is not a place where you're going to see stuff like this in my mind. So I decided to get out of the car because I don't care if I get shot today. I'm going to go see.
There's a bird miracle.
I just saw a miracle. Maybe I could divide into 3, fly away.
Yeah.
So I go out. There's nothing left on the ground, Tricia. And I'm telling you, it was like electric. Like my hair is like, and I felt, I don't know, I still don't have a word for this, but it was like an intense, so much beyond the word love, and this incredible presence with me. And I knew that moment that I had witnessed a miracle, and that changed me.
Oh my gosh, that's and so have you inquired? Like, I'm so fascinated, almost like how or why. What was the significance? Just maybe that. What was the significance of the story of the love changing into 3 different physical incarnations, the 3 different birds?
I mean, talk about grounded, right? Like that's just like a body divided into 3 healthy bodies and flying away. Okay, so I didn't know what to make of it. Okay, but what's so interesting? One of the things that the lady told me when she was doing her angel healing, she touched my shoulder, and she said, ooh, okay, you have a bad shoulder. And
Mm.
she barely touched it. So she's not like feeling my muscles. She's just
Yeah.
feeling like this
The
energy
energy.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh yeah, God, it gives me problems, giving me problems my whole life. She said, oh yeah, that makes sense. You're carrying a lot of anger here. That's where your wing was clipped.
Oh my gosh. So it was you.
So there's this, I mean, I didn't put that together until way
Sure.
later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm like, hey, bird, mangled wing. I have a mangled wing. Like,
Yeah.
but the Holy Trinity, the
Mm-hmm.
three,
Yes.
you can just go on with that. So like all spiritual awakenings, I don't think there's one angle. I think it's just
Yeah.
whoever's hearing it
Mm-hmm.
and whatever it means that day. It's like an infinite tarot deck.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it wasn't just that miracle. It was what happened afterwards, right? The
Mm-hmm.
transformation in my own mind, in my own heart, in my health, in my body. And it was like the first time maybe in my life that I could hear a different voice inside of me that had hope
Mm-hmm.
and that believed in something bigger, believed in not just spirit, but started believing that there was something more for me on how to live, in how to live, and I started kind of doing life a little differently, and just like these little mini shifts along the way. But yeah, after that, I felt like the communication pathway was open,
Yeah.
and slowly but surely, I received guidance to kind of step by step put me in a place now where I'm reaching thousands of people all over the world, and helping them heal their lives,
Mm-hmm.
heal their hearts, and activate their mission through the power of angels.
Yeah. Wow. And so the angel experiment, is that essentially, is that kind of about that, talk to the angels like they're real? Is that the encapsulation of the title of your book? Like
It's essentially, yeah,
yeah.
it's a 21 day
Mm.
angel ritual that has invocation. So each day there's different archangels that you invoke
Mm-hmm.
versus just pray. We do invocation. So
Yeah.
it's very kind of ritual, but I do a lot of healing activation. So after my big angel experience, when I was sitting with clients, I'd start feeling a bunch of angels come in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know how to rectify those two things.
You mean
It's
when
like,
you were
okay, I'm
you're
going to do talk therapy.
as a yeah in CBT or something, like in your psychotherapy practice, still the angels are
Let's
coming
do
in.
some CBT. I don't think so.
And you're like,
I don't think,
and you're not a transpersonal psychologist or psychiatrist, so people can
no,
kind of yeah.
I was not doing that work,
Mm-hmm.
but it was happening inside of my sessions. And it took me a while to really start owning it, of course, because,
Mm-hmm.
trained psychotherapists, like, come on, stop it with the whole angel thing. It's ridiculous in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wanted to keep it my like dirty little secret in a way. And I didn't tell anybody about the miracle because I'm a psychotherapist. So I
Mm-hmm.
understand what that means when you say, hey, I saw a bird divide into three. I know it sounds crazy. And I know they might want to put me on antipsychotics.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it took me a while to say it out loud, but it was happening in the sessions. And so eventually I started just going, hey, we're going to do some angel healing work. And so spirit kind of guided me on how to work with people suffering and how
Mm.
to start moving that energy out of them so they could live.
And I wonder, I imagine that as that was happening, you were probably aligned with clients and you were guided in a way that it actually worked. Like you knew the words to say that would bridge their awareness or their understanding of angelic presence or whatever. Is that how it worked out?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, here's the thing is that I feel like anybody who's suffering just wants a way out and they'll
Hmm.
try anything.
Right, exactly.
No one's going to kick the angels out of bed if I go, hey, you want to try something?
Yeah.
So that's how I would do it. I would, because I'm a very down to earth person, I would just say, you want to try something really weird? Let's just try it.
Hmm.
And by the way, can I just give you a message?
Yeah. Yes, please, anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Right.
so, of course, as that people are ready for this kind of stuff. They need magic. They need
Hmm.
faster ways to healing and to getting activated at a soul level to step into their mission
Hmm.
and just drop the crap. Just drop the
Yeah.
crap. We need methods. And some people don't want to freaking spend 10 years in therapy.
Hmm.
And I love therapy
Right.
too. It's
Of course.
just sometimes people just need to be healed.
We need to use all the tools, I think. You know what I mean? And if we isolate too much, which is like some of the pendulum has swung to where we're a little bit too austere with what psychotherapy means or with what allopathic medicine means. We need all of it. You know what I mean? And we also, like you said, we don't want to isolate so much to where we're just like ungrounded, spiritual bypassing, not wanting to be a part of this life. I want to get out of here. I don't belong here, kind of,
Nobody understands me.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Nobody understands anybody.
Used to it.
It's in A Course in Miracles, one of my favorite things to remember is, I don't remember where it is in the book, but it's like, all of God's children are special and none of God's children are special. You know what I mean? It's like, it's snow. It's like we're all fractalized, and we all have, I don't know, but I guess maybe there are people with certain missions like light workers where you do actually tend to feel off the bell curve a little bit more than some others. And if you have like extreme trauma, then that is more extreme. It is extreme than maybe hopefully most of the population. But even in the more if something could be possibly more typical as a life or as an experience of growing up, we experience trauma no matter what, because it's the perception of a child's mind. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just you had to be hit or physically injured. If a child feels separation from their caretaker, that's trauma. They experience that, and they make the mind will make meaning of that and potentially create a pattern around it. It's just how it is,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, you're a psychotherapist.
We all got the trauma because coming back into the body and coming into this three-dimensional, this density, this level of density is quite painful, so we all have it.
Yeah.
We all kind of have a sense that there's something more, something else that maybe we are not originally 100% from here.
Yeah.
But how we wrap our minds and framework vision around that is, we can do it differently. But yeah, sometimes, wow, the people who are just about to crack open are just the least likely in your mind that you actually have some gifts and something to offer. So I didn't know that I could do healing work. Right. That came with the angels. I mean, although I was always interested in stuff like that, but I went the traditional education route because you got to be practical after all.
Right. Well, but the traditional educational route that you took was as a healer. I mean, a psychotherapist is a healer. So, like you always knew there was always this
close. Yeah. But I just feel like we're always in a sense fulfilling our purpose and our mission, but we're playing it at different iterations and different octaves.
And different awarenesses of what it is, different perspectives of our awareness of it, maybe, Yeah,
exactly. But I just think, with the whole mission thing and life purpose thing, it's really who you are. You don't have to work hard to fulfill your mission. You're doing it. Yeah. It's just the frequency that you're going to put out there, like what level you're going to play that game. So yeah, I was warm with just the mental health, but then a new layer dropped down.
Yeah. And so then you said little by little, you started to integrate just shifts into your life. And so was there some kind of interesting, actual shift? I mean, did you shift out of the practice of psychotherapy entirely? And this is the work that you do now?
Oh yeah, this is what I do now.
Yeah. I thought so, but
it's pretty insane, but yeah. I don't even do a lot of one-on-one anymore. I mostly teach and train, and create angel things for people to participate in. My main mission is to really help connect people to to a palpable relationship with spirit, as opposed to this just faith and just, I needed bam, whoosh, a smack upside the head, a cosmic slap to let me know that there's something going on. And so I love to create environments for people to actually experience what I'm talking about, whether it's doing these practices. It helps boost your synchronicities, helps boost your healing and all of that stuff. So that, and I'm just called more to reach more of the masses in doing it. So, but I like to balance it out, a little bit. I love to teach and do workshops and do retreats. I'm doing a retreat in California up here in February. So it's, but yeah, this is mostly what I do, but it took me a while to really embrace where my career was headed, if you will.
I imagine. And was that transition uncomfortable, or how did that work for you? Because sometimes it's like transition almost, it's uncomfortable for us no matter what, right? Because change is difficult for the physical body and the brain. And it's almost like if it happens slowly, that's difficult. And if it happens quick, that's difficult. But I think your story is probably very inspiring to people, because so many people do actually awaken a little bit more mature in life, which is actual quite a gift. But you have a thing already set up. You have your gigs set up. So, I'll bet that you're quite an inspiration to be able to shift the life that is aligned with that purpose.
Yes, I support a lot of people in making those power moves, right? I didn't know I was making a power move. I thought I was just like, hey, I'm just going to go follow the party, whatever the party leads me.
I like it. That's a good
but I can be more cavalier about it now. But, back in the day, I mean, it starts with little things like, okay, I have this miracle happen. I'm doing angel work, whether I like it or not. I'm doing it on myself. I'm sending stuff to family and all whether they know it or not, I'm doing angel work. But am I going to kind of admit it out loud? I think that was the next thing. And then I remember I went to like one angel training, and it would have cost me, I think it cost around $3,000, $4,000 altogether, because I had to fly somewhere. And I never did anything like that. I never took myself anywhere. And I had a 4-year-old at home. Our house was going into foreclosure.
Oh my gosh.
My marriage was on the brink of divorce, kind of thing. But I was still partying because, the angels were kind of coming to support us. Yeah. But I remember going, I just felt like, oh my God, I totally want to go. I look at the price and I go, oh my God, I could never go, or can't do it. But then some synchronicity started happening, and like, the city that I was like this workshop in Kona. So like all of a sudden I'm hearing Kona everywhere on the day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope that's a green light. Maybe I will go. So I told my husband, hey, I'm going to spend about $4,000. And it's just kind of like a 4-day angel fun thing. It's just fun. You're going to do anything with it? Absolutely not. Hell no. Yeah. I'm not going to do. What am I going to do? I'm a therapist, for Pete's sake. But I just felt like I had to go. So it's like, I did go, and it was amazing. But it's those little things that you start saying yes to that eventually leads you to your journey. Yes. And to your deeper journey. So yeah, I think for all of us, it's learning to pay attention to those inner urges that seem mostly like a party. It didn't seem practical.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a great reason to do it, because obviously we've been talking about grounded and practicality and everything. But the thing is, there's also so much to just doing it because it feels good, and just staying in that vibration and continuing to stay in it for that reason, just for the love of it, just for the fun of it, and stay out of fear for having done that, and try to stay out of guilt for having done it that way,
And it's uncomfortable. I mean, in that case, it was financially uncomfortable for us. And if you're going to walk the intuitive path, I feel like it's all about discomfort.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable, because often you're cutting pathways you've never seen have modeled for you before. Right. And your relationships are challenged, and how you do relationship is challenged. How you do finances is challenged. How you do life, period. So it's very scary. So when it came to my career, I was up against like, oh my God, they're all going to like laugh at me and like think I'm just, just dismiss me because I'm talking about angels. And some of them really did, but it didn't matter to me, because I knew what was happening down on the ground in my practice. And I'd rather help someone in 20 minutes than 20 years. Yes. And so, and also over time, those same people who used to like kind of roll their eyes at me are calling me for business ideas and business support. How did you transition your business? And it was one crazy step at a time, essentially.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And that's what it is. It's just to be present with the step. And if it's there now, if it's, where you are in your transition and the career or whatever it is you have going on is with you right now, then there's something that it's offering you. Obviously you had so many skills, so many tools from the psychotherapy practice and the education that I wonder, I know for myself, because I've done career transitions too. It seems like I don't know if I'm done transitioning. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like in 5 years, I'm like, oh, it's time for a new career. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Who cares? Whatever. But I now like find myself resourcing from something that I was doing that is, for example, like I was in the hospitality industry. And so I'm like, can resource being a bartender when I was 28 now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I learned this skill and I can use it in my practice now to heal people. I don't know. Why not?
Yeah, I think, you tap your resources. And I mean, the longer you go in life, you really see there's some wisdom, and there's some kind of wisdom in some of the, just even the worst things we were doing back then. But yeah, I mean, I feel like when I hopped on not just a spiritual path, but stayed committed to following the intuition as best as I can, especially when it's leads me into tricky, uncomfortable territory, that I have an obligation now to listen. And the reason why I say I have an obligation is because I didn't know, by taking all of these risks, right? Getting uncomfortable, investing $4,000 in a training I thought was going nowhere. I was just going to have fun. And dropping my psychotherapy one-on-one practice, that was super scary when I eventually made the move.
Right.
It was terrorizing, to be honest. But what I couldn't see was the tens of thousands of people that were waiting for the work that I bring with the angels. And so now it's like, who else is waiting? And we have obligations. Like when your broadcasting is done, it's time to go and do something else, because there's other people that need you.
Right.
And so, so if anybody's, listening, you start feeling that trap, even with good things that are happening.
Yes.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Tricia. You start feeling called to let go of even good things.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. That means that I think that I have to think it's bad now in order to let go of it. It's like, no, actually you don't. That's when you kind of are really cooking with gas. And it's like, it's time to release something, even though it isn't limiting seemingly, you know what I mean? Like, or it isn't uncomfortable, negative, bad, whatever it is, because that's how we're conditioned. It's like you stay in something until it's so painful, and then you have to fight in order to get out of it. And it doesn't have to be that way. What if we
I know you have to set the building on fire in order for you to finally be able to leave.
Totally. And what I was actually given, because when I had my kind of bigger metaphysical awakening, I was in the middle of a career that I had called my dream career. And it really and truly was then. But it started to shift, you know what I mean? Like, to be something that I was leaving. And what I was told by the angels then was, you can go from glory to glory. And I was like, oh, well, that's preferred.
I love that. Glory to glory. Yeah. See, I say party to party.
I like it. Yeah.
What's my next party? But yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was a very peculiar thing that I noticed over time. And I think because in the beginning of your spiritual awakening, you're really letting go of officially toxic things, whether it's toxic relationships and all of the things, right? But once your plate is cleared, then you actually get to experience what it's like to just outgrow something, because your soul's ready to expand a little bit more.
Yes.
And it's such a mind trip.
Yeah. I know what you could say it.
I can. I've been like cleaning up my act.
Oh, it's a mind fuck, girl.
I don't know if you catch me going, okay, can I say shit or shiznit? I'm not sure. Can I say shiznit here? Oh God. Okay. So back to the mind fuck, right?
Yeah.
It's a mind fuck when you really have to let go of amazing things. So my one-on-one practice was like super awesome. I mean, busy and I loved my clients, and I was making some decent cash, right?
Yeah. And you were helping people. So you're like, it's confusing. Like,
I'm helping people. Yeah. People are having literal miracles happen, magic happen. What could freaking be the problem? So I'm thinking, I'm just a freaking baby. Quit tantruming. You should feel grateful. Feel grateful for your life. Why are you feeling trapped by it? You need to like simmer down. Yeah. And so I spent maybe 2 years just in that game of like just pretending like I wasn't feeling that trap. But really, there was more people, and you can only serve so many people one-on-one in a week. I could only do like 15 or 20 versus, I don't know, lots.
Well, and it's different. They're different modalities. There are some people, because when you service those 15 to 20, then they're touching the lives of the people in them. You know what I mean? Like, it does spread out, but we just have different different modalities. Some people, that one-on-one, that intimate thing is their thing. Maybe that's their thing forever and ever. But
Forever, it could be.
but for you, there's an evolution that meant that you go to
Total.
more of the group. And I love the group. This is why I do this, because
Yeah,
we are touching and experiencing and connecting with countless people, and I know you can too, feel them all. We can feel them all, even the ones who are going to listen to this a year from now. You know what I mean? Like, we can feel them all, and this is all, we're in that space. So anyway,
it's
so
yeah.
you were evolving to. That's the thing, when your foot grows, then the shoe doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't mean that the shoe was bad. It doesn't mean that the shoe
I
didn't
know.
serve you. You just are moving into something else.
Exactly. So I
Mhm.
just, want to just say that
Yeah.
to people who are having things that are actually totally working for them, but they're
Mhm.
feeling that inner pressure. And that is often guidance that it's time to let something die, time to let something go, because there could be something not just good, but extraordinary on the other side.
It's like you get to a point in your life where instead of being in the no, like I have to say no to that, you know what I mean? That you start to get into this place where it's yes and, you know,
Yeah.
like you say, the next party. How can this party get even better?
The
What?
next glory. What's
Mhm.
the next glory? I love it. Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a lot of that, a lot of making terrorizing, part of me terrorized. Actually, so much of my current career, I still find terrorizing.
Mm.
But the more that we train ourselves to go to coexist with that fear, not you don't have to. I know a lot of people waiting for them to stop being afraid themselves. They want to stop being
Oh,
afraid in
right.
order to get something done. Don't wait.
Mm.
Just be terrorized. Big deal. You've been through worse, more than likely, and be terrorized. And also watch the support come in when you start making those moves, which has
Yes.
been so cool. Have you found that too,
Oh,
Tricia?
yes, absolutely. It is, and it does keep unfolding, and where it really is like being in suspension, you know what I mean? Like, really just being in the now, and choosing to embrace perfect synchronism as your birthright and your lifestyle. That's like being suspended in space, you know? It's like no longer feeling gravity in the same way that you used to, because the density was the gravity before, and it's almost like breaking the addiction to either depression or anxiety, because that was the conditioning that you had that made you feel like that's how you survive, because that's what it was to go from age 0 to 25 was depression and anxiety. And so that is what the body and the brain believes is what is
Mm.
the homeostasis that is somehow you're surviving by. And so it is like an addiction. So then when you actually break that addiction, then you are in this place of, it's faith, but it's not even faith after a while. Because once you do it, you have so much evidence that it becomes it's proof. You know what I mean? It's proven
It
to
just
you to live that way.
Exactly. It just becomes life. Like it's
Yeah.
just like normal life. And I feel like, your healing and transformation doesn't have to be long or hard or arduous. I feel like, especially in working with angels, because they work at just quantum speed
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really had no idea. I mean, I knew I was suffering when I was, back in the day. Um, but I think that most and many people, they are silently suffering, even to themselves. They don't even know
Yeah.
they're miserable because they're so used to it. You just
Mhm.
become numb to it. And so I know, like in my practice, and also with the intuitive healing work that I'm doing now and teaching, is like people have a radical experience sometimes just in that first session, because it's like the first time they've taken off the density and they scrub themselves. We scrub them down and then they can feel themselves again. And like,
Yeah.
wow, I was walking around with like 500 pounds of crap I didn't have to walk around with. I didn't even know it was there. Just got
Right.
used to it.
But then
Started walking through
you
life with my shoulders down.
you emerge strong. That's the thing. Marianne Williamson says it so well, because I've heard her say that the mental and emotional, like, suffering and challenge is actually the gravity that we push against to make us stronger, like a weightlifter or like a yogi who is pushing against gravity to build those muscles, and then you emerge even stronger. And I just think that's such a perfect
I love
example
that.
of, yeah, me too. And I feel like I want people to hear that, and that the pain or suffering that you may be carrying that density, that it really and truly, the second that you start to open yourself up to allow it to heal, and like maybe with relationship with alchemizing with the angels, it actually gets better. You don't have to avoid it, that the second that you give it the space for healing, it gets better immediately. And like you said, at quantum speeds, some of the fastest, I remember one time being so angry because I didn't know how to release unforgiveness for some childhood abuse. And I didn't want to be walking around with that resonating with that anger and that, unforgiveness. And I was driving and I stopped and I banged on the steering wheel and I said, I don't know how to do this, but I'm willing to do this. And I was calling out to angels, and it was like easily just gone then,
Like poof.
Like
I know.
poof, yeah. I forgot about it. And I felt into it, like remembered the experience like a month or so later. And I was like, oh, I don't feel it anymore. It just happened when I just was willing.
Yeah. Yeah. So people think forgiveness is just like this mental exercise, but it's not. It's an energetic that you don't have to lift. You don't have to just decide to forgive someone. You can just like decide to let it go, but have support. So that's, I think, one of the most remarkable things I found in working with spirit, working with angels, is like, you don't have to freaking do it by yourself. Just ask for help.
Exactly.
just take this.
And
take
it's
this
there.
problem.
And your believing that it's there is your receiving that the help. That's what, and you don't even have to perfectly believe it. That's the cool thing. You don't have to be perfect in your understanding, your belief, how you're running your frequency, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to be pure.
You don't. Thank goodness, because I never would have made it here if you did. And I want something else I wanted to say about angels that I love about angels and what they've showed me is that they are beyond religion. They are not associated. And we know, like, every culture around the world, whether they're indigenous cultures or not, or major religions, talks about some form of being of light, benevolent beings. And so for people who do not identify with religion, I like to deconstruct that angels are religious. They're not. They transcend what humans do to wrap their brains around and make sense out of this place. They're just here to help and support us. And they don't care who you are.
Right. And then like the names that we have for them or the words that we have from them, those are just benchmarks. And those are just ways for us to refer back to the same energy from these human vessels. But again, they are not constrained to any of those identities. If you did grow up in a different language or system or culture or something, it would still be Michael, just be called or something. I don't know.
Like whatever the frequency that matches. Yeah. Exactly. It does not have to be I was actually talking to someone who was Hindu. So he studied a lot of the Hindu faith and he was reading the Angel Experiment book and talking about how the similarities between some of the deities and the angels. And so, yeah, it's for that's what I love about angels. They're for everyone.
Yes.
And people aren't angry at angels, right? A lot of people are angry at Jesus. Jesus has had some really bad press over the years.
Bad press, yeah.
So we need to get him a PR machine behind him and, get the real Jesus flowing.
Sure.
So people can make that connection. But if unfortunately so many people shut themselves off from religion because of, the last, 1,000 years of kind of in some ways getting the Jesus wrong. But I mean, I love me some Jesus, but so I love angels because no one has a huge problem with angels.
Right. It's just if the word or some of the way that we connect remind you, but really and truly the religion the religion we're talking about, it being like Western Christianity, it's before that even, because it's truly more like Hebrew mysticism, which is actually transcendent and before even the writing of the Torah. You know what I mean? Like, we're just talking about human experiencing is really all we're talking about.
And then before the Torah, there's all the other ancient books that all mention beings.
Exactly. Right.
Of light. So, yeah.
But the filtering isn't the message. The filtering isn't the truth. The filtering that, through which you might be hearing it right now is not what the actual message of the truth is.
And that's why I love, that's why like my main work is not to create people of faith around angels. and turn it into a religion. It's really about experiencing the
Yes.
presence. You can start feeling them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can start seeing the beautiful wake that they leave behind when they're supporting you in your life. Uh, so, so yeah, it's really important that people have their own experience and make their own judgment on what an angel is and who they are. But you have to put it to a test. You have to spend diligent time daily working with these energies so that you can really see like how they impact you. So that really is what the book's about. It's like there's
Experimenting is such a strong word for that, because that really keeps you in a timeless space. To just experiment, just like for 3 days, talk to the angels as though they're real. And at one time I was talking, when I was really, I was in this place where I was talking with my guides and I was speaking with my angels, and I was like, okay, so I mean, really though, can I really live a life like this? Or, I mean, everybody else believes that being afraid and scared and anxious, that's actually how this life works. So, I mean, really, are you shitting me? Like I can actually just live without that? And they just kind of simply said to me, well, why not just try it? You can always pick that back up. You know how to be anxious. You got 30 some 40 whatever years being anxious. Why not try it for a little bit and see what happens? So that experimentation, I was like, fair enough.
you could always pick it back up.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah. You want to feel like shit? Go ahead. You know where that tool is.
Yeah, no, you've been nailing it.
Yeah, expert. You're a master at that. Let's try something else. Just
So
try
true.
it.
Yeah. To me, it's always about like experimentation.
Yeah.
So that's why I create a lot of programs that require like a kind of a daily practice. Super easy though, like 10 to 15 minutes invocation,
Love it. Yeah.
and then we do energy shift, energy healing, and angel healing around stuff too, because I think half the battle is just decluttering. I think we're all already awesome on the inside. We're already gifted, beings of awesome. We just have to decrust from the decades of bullshit.
Totally. Wow. I'm just so in love with the work that you're doing, and how you're teaching people to just experiment, to alchemize, to use all the parts of themselves and allow it to be redeemed to something that's resourceful. So you're just so great. Thank you so much for this work that you're doing, Corinne. Really, truly, and beautiful. You have a workshop coming up in California. What else? Tell folks anything else that you would like to share today.
Yeah, well, the workshop is February 28th, the weekend of February 28th at 1440 Multiversity. So that's going to be a 3-day intuitive angel healing deep dive. So if
Where is
you're
that located? Where's Multiversity?
it's up in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, Santa Cruz
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Santa Cruz Mountains. Yeah, it's all inclusive. It's 75 acres. And there's pools and hot tubs and massage and stuff like that. So especially for people who really need to go inward and start hearing the voice, getting their intuition down, and really feeling a palpable difference in their healing abilities, and whether it's people who want to heal other people or heal just yourself, people are going to get everything they need in that 3 days. I mean, it's all it takes, because it's angels.
Yeah.
So
it's quantum.
So they move fast. So there's that, and then I also just really want to invite people to try the experiment, to do it. It's really I get emails all the time and messages we have a Facebook group, so people can also join our Facebook group. It's called the 7-Day Miracle Challenge, and you'll see all kinds of testimonials going up about the wild stuff that happens for people. One woman, she's waiting for her book, and she opens up the mailbox, and there's two things in her mailbox: the book and one envelope, and in that envelope was a check for I think it was like $14,998 that she didn't know she had coming to her.
Wow. I love
She's
it.
Like, oh my gosh, I can pay my rent now, because she was all, bad things were happening.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's beautiful.
So it's so awesome, because it keeps all of our kind of faith, and like, oh yeah, angels are real. It's a constant reminder.
Yes.
So but the book has really done some pretty cool things for folks. So yeah, check it out if you're curious.
Absolutely. Everyone, do check out Corin Grillo's book, The Angel Experiment, and perhaps the retreat, the workshop that she's talking about, and her communities. It's really been such a joy to connect with you, and thank you for shining your light on our beautiful world and in
Ah,
this
thank you.
podcast. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. It's so, I can always tell when I'm around other angel people because my angel senses, my feathers start like going, whoo, they start getting wider and wider. Those energetics behind you, I feel like, so it's so nice to connect with you.
Well, thank you, and you as well. Well, this has been a wonderful broadcast, and so everyone, check out Corin Grillo, and I look forward. Maybe we can have another episode sometime next time that. And if you're ever in Los Angeles, I would love to have you in studio. It'd be really fun.
Oh my gosh, anytime. That'd be so fun. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. Well, everyone, that's our episode for today. Again, I encourage you to check out all of Corin's information in the description, as well as the 2020 Intuitive Intensive taught by myself and Crystal Ann Compton, and my Mystic Arts Academy twice monthly and a weekly group meditation meetings. So I just love you all so much. Angel blessings to you all. Talk to your angels. And thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.